Now available for the first time on Google Play, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are falling apart in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy on Google Play today. The man crisis in the U.S. military looks like it's getting worse. I was recently reading an article in the Air Force Times which talks about how deaths by suicide are rising, and because deaths by suicide are rising among airmen, the U.S. Air Force was forced to order a resiliency stand down. Now, I believe that this increase in suicides has to do with these beta males who are officers in the U.S. military having unrealistic expectations. Now, one of the traits of a beta male is the fact that they don't live in the real world. Now, the world that the beta male does live in is one where he wears rose-colored glasses, and because he wears rose-colored glasses, the world around him looks like our world, but everything is distorted. And because his perception of the world is distorted, he starts projecting out and looking to aspire to meet extremely unrealistic expectations. And this is a trait that really usually gets the beta male in trouble, and it also gets those who work for a beta male in trouble, because this man does not see the real world of reality, and because he doesn't see reality, what he does is he tries to meet unrealistic goals, and he tries to make demands on others to meet unrealistic goals. And this is what causes many men to become extremely frustrated, extremely angry, and because they are contractually obligated to be a part of the U.S. military, many of these men, this is what leads to them going to commit suicide or contemplate suicide, because they see no way out of the U.S. military that they signed up to be a part of, and they feel the only way they can escape these pressures that are overwhelming them is by committing suicide. So this increase in suicides is definitely a part of the growing man crisis that has been taking over the United States military. In other parts of the military, where we're seeing that military recruiters cannot find new recruits to bring into the military because many of the young males and females who grew up in these single mother households from divorce or from being born out of wedlock, many of these men and women just cannot even meet the basic literacy standards, and now those who are enlisted are having a hard time being able to function in the U.S. military, because we now have a lot of these beta males who are superior officers, and these men have extremely unrealistic expectations, and these expectations do not match observable reality. And all of these pressures, again, are all due to the man crisis here in America, and this man crisis that has most people not being able to function, because when we do not have a core foundation of male life skills provided by fathers who are in the home, then children only get half of what they need in order to go out in the world. And because they only have half of what they need from their mothers, what happens is when these males go out into places like the U.S. military, then they cannot function, because one of the things they do not know how to do is go out here and work with male authority figures, nor do they know how to work with a chain of command. Moreover, when it comes down to many of these males who do not get any sort of father, they do not get the intangibles from that only a father can provide, such as being taught discipline, resolve, and the ability to persevere under pressure. And they're also not taught how to set realistic goals and set realistic expectations, because many men who come from single mother households, again, they have extremely unrealistic expectations as related to the world, because their world is extremely distorted, and their worldview is extremely distorted. So these men do not know how to function in the real world. They do not know how to navigate the real world. And what's extremely dangerous is when you have large populations of beta males, then in a place like the United States military, they don't be effective soldiers, and they cannot help fight a war effectively in a combat situation because these men do not know how to function. And what's really scary now is that so many men are malfunctioning and falling apart in just a peacetime situation. We have to wonder how much worse it would get in a wartime situation. If these men are now committing suicide due to the pressures they are facing in a non-combat situation, then how much more dangerous can they be in a combat situation? And this is why it is important for our U.S. military to acknowledge the man crisis going on here in the United States of America, because this man crisis is going to become a threat to national security. Because if we cannot find able-bodied, capable men and women, especially men primarily, to go out here and protect our country as soldiers and serve their country, then we leave ourselves vulnerable to not only be attacked by our enemies, but attacked by an enemy within, which is our own American men, because our own American men just do not have the coping skills and male life skills they need to be a part of our United States country. So we have a problem here in the United States as related to men in our military, and we really need to make an effort to acknowledge this man crisis here in America, because if we don't deal with this man crisis here in America, where we have this 2 to 3 generations of men who are not able to function in any sort of way, we're going to have real serious problems if we have a situation where we need to call up military recruits and even try to recruit people for our U.S. military, which is what we're having a problem right now, because many of the males who are coming out of these single mother households, these men cannot even pass the basic exam. And again, now we're having a problem where these men are committing suicide. So I'm seeing a major problem with this man crisis in this country. And if we don't do something about this man crisis, we're going to have serious, real problems down the road. Now, this man crisis is a major problem. And again, it's a serious one because most Americans refuse to acknowledge it, and we refuse to acknowledge this man crisis because most American men out here do not want to hold women accountable for the way we have been raising boys over the last 50 years and the way we have been raising boys over the last 50 years in this feminist culture has created a socially engineered soft male who does not have the salt or the seasoning to go out into the world and function. And because these men do not have any seasoning, they are the type of men who would get tossed into the draft and get trampled on in any sort of conflict or combat situation. These men are just too soft, and again, a lot of the men who are in higher positions of power, they have no real understanding or a vision to understand how to guide other men in leadership positions. And again, this is what causes major problems, because when men do not have a realistic picture of the world, they cannot go out here and lead other men, and they can't set course and direction for other men, and then that was what leads to pressure on other men. And that's why so many men are falling apart in our U.S. military and killing themselves instead of going out here and being the best soldiers in the world. And again, the way we can get men back on course to being the best soldiers in the world is to finally acknowledge this man crisis, which has been plaguing men over the last 2 decades due to 50 years of feminism and the belief that a woman can raise a boy to be a man without a father, and it's clear now from the man crisis we have in our military that we need to make a desperate investment in men, and we need to see the value of men in society, and we need to make efforts to reinvest in our men so that they can be the best men they can be in our U.S. military, so that they can protect and serve their country and make America a great country again. If you'd like to learn more about why so many men are contemplating suicide or committing suicide these days, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle formats. You can also find it on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. And if you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes' Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes' Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today.